female schools in the country were merely laughed out of existence within 24 hours of the Taliban taking power.
Said laughed out of existence. Alright, another suggestion that I have. I'm blowing through all my suggestions right now.
One of the funniest ways for a megalomaniac country to screw itself over is to invade a cursed region that should really be left alone. A good example is Vietnam, the homeland of guerrilla warfare. Another example is
Bro, Vietnam, oh my gosh. Vietnam, bro, that region is just built different. I think even the Mongols failed in Vietnam.
Caucasus Mountains, where only the insane kings go to wage war. Of course, how can we forget about the country that recently humiliated the living hell out of America, the most powerful country of all time? Let's set sail to Afghanistan, the notorious place known as the Graveyard of Empires. The Pamir Plateau is considered the roof of the world. Imagine all these giant, gorgeous mountains sprawling out from the Pamir Plateau.
Plateau. That's what it was. In my last reaction that I did, I was trying to figure out what the ranges of mountains were called. Okay, plateau, okay.
These mountains in particular are called the Hindu Kush, which literally means Hindu killer in Persian. Ah, the euphoria of getting deep.
What? Wait, what? Oh my... Okay.
From the very first video. The Hindu Kush saw all sorts of early civilization. This region, birthplace to one of the oldest existing religions in human history, Zoroastrianism, was ruled by the Persians from the ancient days. Buddhism also thrived here when it was introduced a few centuries later. After Alexander the Great's conquest of Persia, a Greco-Indian kingdom was born from the chaos and was a perfect environment for Gandhara art, a hybrid of Greek culture and Buddhism. With the introduction of Islam, Buddhism was effectively eliminated from the region. A lot of ethnic Turks soon flooded the place, but the uncompromising Persian descendants just refused to be evicted. No matter how wildly the winds of cultural change howled around them, they retook their homeworld.
This video is... Bro, this channel is a small one. And this video is like... This feels like I'm reacting to a freaking channel with a million subscribers. What the heck?
Generation after generation, century after century. In the 11th century, these territorial people were named Afghans, and the land that they lived on, Afghanistan. Yup, this region is now permanently cursed for empires. The 13th century is here, and with it comes the mighty Mongol invasions. The Ghaznavid Empire was one of the early victims of this serial killer of civilization. The last Shah of Khorasan, Jalal al-Din, decided to make his last stand against the relentless Mongols here in Afghanistan.
I just watched a video on... Yeah, I did. Go check it out if you haven't checked it out yet.
Surprisingly, he was able to completely teabag the fearsome Mongols here by abusing the impenetrable steep mountain terrain in the Battle of Parwan. The Ghaznavid Empire was inevitably brought down to its knees, but even the Mongols had to rage quit and leave South Afghanistan unconquered after such an unpleasantly traumatic experience. Throughout the years, many foreign powers have tried to rule Afghanistan, from the Timurid Empire to the Mughal Empire to the Safavid Empire. Understandably, the Afghans didn't take kindly to foreign powers. During the Safavid Empire, the Afghans started such a successful rebellion that they even conquered their captors after humiliatingly overthrowing them. After years of back and forth...
Yeah, Libra! Bro! These people are built different!
Chaotic warfare, the Afghan-based Durrani Empire finally took control of the region. This is when we can start seeing glimpses of modern-day Afghanistan. The Pashtuns, the majority race in the Afghanistan we know, are direct descendants of the Afghans. Meanwhile, in the north, Russia was an emerging superpower, desperately wanting to join the enticing party of imperialism like the other cool Western countries. It was doing everything in its power to find an ice-free port. If Russia wanted to sail on the open seas, it was forced to either pass through the Ottoman Empire to reach the Mediterranean Sea, pass through Siberia to reach the Far East, or conquer Middle Asia to reach the Indian Ocean. But there
Bro, Russia's geography is like one of the worst geographies that I have ever seen, bro. Like, Russia's geography is so awful, bro.
was this one small country with a somewhat strong navy that was willing to embark on a global harassment campaign just to prevent Russia from expanding any further. The British Empire. It persuaded the Ottoman Empire to blockade the Russians in the Mediterranean, and the Japanese to blockade the Russians in the Far East. Now, all it had to do was block off the Indian Ocean. Unlike other regions where Great Britain was more than happy to...
Right, but how did Britain do that? I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. I know that Britain was kind of like afraid of Russia expanding, but I've never heard of that part. What the heck? Well, I'm actually learning quite a lot in this video, and this guy is quite a small YouTube channel. I don't even know if this video is gonna get a lot of views because this video only has like 10,000 views. I mean, I'm only reacted to it because it was suggested by me, you know. I honor my suggestions, so...
persuade other countries to do the dirty work for it. It wanted to take matters into its own hands and prevent Russia from going anywhere near its golden goose, India. The Russian forces have already conquered the north of Middle Asia. There was no more time. Britain decided to attack Afghanistan, establish a pro-British government, and meet the Russians head-on. The Barakzai dynasty recently overthrew the Durrani Empire to establish the Emirate of Afghanistan. Britain used the whole "I'll return this country to you, the people" as justification to start a war. Although...
What reference is that? I don't understand that reference.
Justification to start a war. Although Britain was able to take Kabul and Kandahar while toppling the Barakzai dynasty with relative ease. Remember this, even if it's the one thing you take away from this video. The actual war in Afghanistan starts only after it's been conquered. In the snowy winter of 1841, a massive rebellion snowballed in the steep, harsh mountains. The Pashtun warriors were excellent snipers in this terrain. These warriors would fire outrageous pot shots from ridiculous cover with these insultingly outdated matchlock rifles that have been rendered obsolete in Europe. Just to give you an idea of how unimaginable this was given the technological differences, imagine a malnutritioned Gandhi bludgeoning the ever-living shit out of Mike Tyson with his peace stick. The 700 British soldiers and 3,800 Indian mercenaries were
No, I was gonna say, like, yeah, you don't even need to give me an idea for that because, like, that is so ridiculous. Like, what is it with Pashtun people and being able to use outdated weapons to freaking beat technologically superior people? Oh my gosh.
massacred in the Hindu Kush during a maddening retreat against an invisible, laughing enemy. The British attempted to desperately negotiate for peace, asking only for safe escape in return for surrender. The Afghans promised, "Sure, we understand. Of course you can leave." But proceeded to merrily hunt the retreating British regardless. An additional 4,500
Of course they would do that. Of course they would do that. I'm not even gonna get angry at them because, like, come on now. A lot of people back then, you know, even the British, you know, no one really kept their word for anything, right? No one really kept their word. There's been many times where the British did not keep their word for anything, right? They said, "Oh, don't worry, I got you," and they go back completely on their word and do something else. So I'm not even gonna get angry at that. I'm just gonna laugh because, frankly speaking, it's hilarious.
soldiers and 12,000 civilians were buried in the Hindu Kush.
Hold on.
500 soldiers the retreating British regardless. An additional 4,500 soldiers and 12,000 civilians were buried in the Hindu Kush. What remained of the terrified British fled Afghanistan, but returned in 1878 with 40,000 soldiers. The death of Shah Sher Ali, who went to request aid from Russia, left the Afghans confused with no leader. This time around, the war ended with a British victory. The British experienced the terrifying Pashtun warriors firsthand and arbitrarily split the country up into two with the Durrani Line to cause an internal divide within the Pashtuns. This way, they'll be too busy fighting each other, and the British could adopt Afghanistan as a protectorate. The British, rather understandably so, no longer had—
Wait, so that's why Pakistan has a large Pashtun majority? Oh, because I remember back when I saw the map of the Pashtun ethnic group, and I noticed that Pakistan has quite a large group. I was always wondering, what is that? Oh my gosh, bro, I am learning a lot right now. Break it down. This is why I love doing these reactions, man.
Had any interest or confidence whatsoever in the direct governance of Afghanistan. They just wanted to leave the lethal natives right there as a buffer against Russia. Good luck getting past them. Jesus Christ! Poor Russia was blockaded from the Mediterranean due to the Crimean War, humiliated in the Far East from a costly war against the Japanese, and exhausted from pointless wars against British proxy nations. Russia finally agreed to formally acknowledge British rule over Afghanistan, and instead chose to split up Persia with the Anglo-Russian Convention. Peace didn't last long. Immediately after the British iron fist started to slip following the First World War, there was another rebellion in Afghanistan. This is the third war between Afghanistan and Britain. Britain, already in tatters after World War I, had no choice but to liberate Afghanistan in the following year of 1919. Good riddance. Finally independent at last, the Afghanistan kingdom had a straight 40 years of unprecedented peace, progress, and reform under Shah Mohammad Zahir. As soon as the age of imperialism drew—
Really? No, I've never heard of that one before. Wow. Reminds me of how what Iran was like before the Iranian Revolution. Now. I know that the Iranians and the Shah was an American puppet. I know that most of the Iranians supported the revolution. I actually watched a bit of a documentary on that, but I kind of forgot most of the details. I don't know. I might react to that revolution just to refresh my brain, and also because a lot of people like it whenever I react to like Islamic / Muslim history. You know, frankly speaking, and honestly, I like it too. I think this is interesting. I said this in my last reaction that I did that. I didn't realize that Islamic history was actually this interesting. Probably because I grew up in the West, right? So, might react to it. I don't know if anyone would want me to, but I might do it.
Drew to a close. The stage was set for the Cold War. Unfortunately for Afghanistan, the Soviet Union was looming over them to the north. The Turks of the north were already fully indoctrinated with communism, happily absorbed as a member of the Soviet Union. In 1965, the intoxicating whiff of communism was spreading from the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan. In 1973, a pro-Soviet royal, Daoud Khan, dethroned the king in a coup. 5 years later, the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan executed Daoud after another violent coup. Afghanistan became a full communist state. Crazy timing, really. The exact same year, the neighboring country of Iran was plunged into chaos with the Islamic Revolution. Afghanistan has to take some inspiration from that, right?
Yeah, that's I was just talking about that, but I didn't know that the revolution in Iran and Afghanistan becoming communist would happen at the same time. Very interesting.
Infamous anti-communist Islamist guerrilla group Mujahideen started a civil war immediately upon birth with a bang. Now, the Soviet Union wasn't very happy with all this Islamism nonsense spreading next to its pure communist comrades. They tried to support the Afghanistan military by deploying military advisement groups, but this was a pathetic fart in the unstoppable tornado of Islamism. So, the Soviet Union decided to start a frontal invasion of Afghanistan. Their KGB assassinated the president as soon as the war started, put a new puppet government in power. Seems like a pretty efficient way to end the war, right? Remember, the actual war in Afghanistan starts only after it's been conquered. A puny change in government doesn't
I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that.
stop the Mujahideen. The Afghanistan home ground advantage was just so outrageous. The feared Soviet tank battalions that served them so well during World War II were rendered completely useless by the steep mountain, forcing them to abandon all their expensive equipment and march on foot instead. Well, without the cover of their armored vehicles, the Mujahideen, again, pulled out their insultingly outdated matchlock rifles and went on a merry killing spree against the 20th century superpower, just like their ancestors did to the British 100 years ago. As the culminating point was reached and the Soviets were forced into the slow bleed of a stalemate, they didn't even know where or even who the enemy was. America gleefully makes the problem several magnitudes worse following the age-old wisdom: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Remember how Britain split the Pashtuns in two with the Duran line? Half the Pashtuns
And I've heard a lot of controversy. Now, there's a lot that I can talk about here. There's a lot that I can talk about here. And the whole America getting involved. Personally, I get it. Cold War, proxy wars, American Soviet Union was trying to one-up each other. But, I don't know, man. There's a lot I can talk about here. But I don't know if I should talk about it. I don't want YouTube to smite down my channel. I really do not want YouTube to smite down my channel. I don't know if I should talk about that here, right? I really don't know. I mean, I guess I won't talk about that here. I think that's kind of stretching the border. You know what I mean? Cause my channel was shadow banned. That was horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Remember how Britain split the Pashtuns in two with the Duran line? Half the Pashtuns are still technically living in Pakistan, but they don't really care about borders here. So, America just drops massive amounts of weapons into Pakistan to kindly raise the difficulty for the Soviets to absolutely fucking brutal. After 9 full years of flushing unimaginable amounts of money and human lives down the toilet of Hindu Kush, the Soviets completely withdrew from Afghanistan in 1989 without anything to show for it. 2 years later, the Soviet Union collapsed. I have to assume that they would have lasted at least a few more years if they didn't screw themselves over so terribly in Afghanistan. This, my friends, is the background for where the Taliban starts. There was an abundance of war orphans to choose from due to
YouTube, because I know YouTube reads the transcripts of videos. YouTube, this is simply a reaction video. Please, YouTube, do not smite down my channel.
the frequent civil and international wars. The Taliban.
Wait. This is the literal name of, what you see right here, the Tala. I'm not going to say the full name. Does not literally mean the students, right? I think it means the students. I don't know how you pronounce that. Right? I could be wrong, but I know it translates to something relating to student, alright? Student, something like that. Student of something, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong if you reach this far into the video.
War orphans to choose from due to the frequent civil and international wars. The Taliban would take them in, radicalize them, and train them to be their cult soldiers. These guys took over Kabul in 1996 and then overthrew the Afghanistan government. They declared an Islamic Republic and executed the president in public to prove a point. Ruling with unforgiving
That is insane.
Sharia law, all female schools in the country were merrily laughed out of existence within 24 hours of the Taliban taking power.
Said laughed out of existence. Yo, that reminds me, bro. That reminds me of when they came back into power. I think you should know what I'm talking about. Where a vice female reporter was asking them, "Hey, are women gonna be able to participate in women's politicians, women's elections?" And the two men started laughing. Two men started laughing. No, it was 3 men. And they told the camera, they told them to turn off the camera. You should know what I'm talking about. Okay, it was this 3 men from the Tala. I'm not going to say the whole word, but I'm sorry, bro. That's hilarious, bro.
Oppression of minority groups and other religions were an everyday occurrence. They went full fundamentalist and started banning whatever they wanted with full impunity. In 2001, they even kindly gifted a massive fuck you to their fellow Muslims by blowing up this 1500-year-old Bamiyan stone Buddha through an act of ultimate trolling, leading to a rather understandable loss of support from other Muslim countries.
Oh, what? They blew up. Oh, no, dude, not. No. You don't blow up history, my boy. No, that's not based, no.
In September of 2001, you know, this is the year that the incident happens in America. You know this story all too well already. America was furiously out for blood and justice for the blatant attack on their soil, doing everything possible to find the person responsible, Osama bin Laden. Conveniently, the Taliban was sheltering him. America asked calmly, "Hey, can you hand him over, please?" Or else. For context, even North Korea was pissing its pants and screaming to anybody who would listen. "Yo, this isn't me, man. I know I've done some messed up things in the past, but it really isn't me this time. Please, man, you gotta believe me." The Taliban.
North Korea? That's actually how North Korea reacted to. Yo, now that I think about it, this is the first time I knew about how North Korea reacted to that event. I don't want to say that word. It starts with a 9. It rhymes with 7-11. I again don't want you to smite down my channel, so I'm not gonna say that word. But that's actually quite hilarious.
Taliban, for some reason, tells America to kindly fuck off. In October of 2001, an outraged, bloodthirsty America invaded Afghanistan. No matter how harsh the terrain of Afghanistan may be, if the strongest military really wants you dead, you're dead. Within a month, the Taliban was annihilated. But, and there's always a but, you know what's coming next. Say it with me. The actual war in Afghanistan starts only after it's been conquered. The American weapons so cheerfully donated for the purpose of fighting the Soviets were now aiming straight back at the American soldiers. Unlike America's initial expectations, the newly established democratic government wasn't doing very well, and bin Laden slipped through the cracks. Furthermore, America also declared war on Iraq in 2003, which only added more chaos to the maddening cacophony of confusion. The new government to replace the Taliban was too corrupt and incompetent to win the hearts of the Afghan people. To make matters unimaginably worse, another radical terrorist group of an equal headache size as the Taliban, called ISIS, entered the stage in the 2010s.
Whoa! You don't say that word. You don't say that word.
All this combined left Afghanistan a complete and utter clusterfuck with no clear solution whatsoever. After about 20 years of war, the traumatized America decided to finally call it quits and negotiate with the Taliban for a phased withdrawal. In essence, the whole thing ended up like the Vietnamese War, where needless blood and money was burned for no clear gain. In 2021, the Taliban smoothly made their long-awaited comeback as if nothing ever happened. Which megalomaniac country will next fall victim to Afghanistan, the cursed region that always gets...
I don't think anyone else is going into Afghanistan. I think everyone has already, Afghanistan just solidified its reputation of just being, the graveyard of empires. Yeah, nobody else has the capabilities to go into Afghanistan. One, because there's no global superpower, right? Two, its neighbors definitely cannot do that. Definitely cannot. The only country I would say maybe could do that is China, but again, they share such a small, tiny border. No, So yeah, to be honest, I think that the current government of Afghanistan that came back into power, the Tala, I'm not gonna say the full word. I do believe that they're honestly there to stay, right? So yeah, nobody isn't going to. The only way for them to get removed is through internal strife. So yeah.
It's the last laugh against the most powerful empires of its time. Some are guessing that it's now China's turn. That line that the British
Like I said, only China can do something they want.
drew to split up the Pashtuns is a modern border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. See this narrow stretch of Afghanistan territory extending east? Yeah, that's called the Wakhan Corridor, and that's China touching borders with Afghanistan right there. Afghanistan under Taliban rule, rubbing borders with the oppressed Islamic population of West China. We can only imagine what's gonna happen next. Good luck, old friend. We'll end this video with a prayer for peace and coexistence in Afghanistan, but we might be a few centuries too late for that to happen. This has been David Bradford from Knowledge Raiders, and thank you for watching.
So that video felt like a troll. That video felt like a freaking troll, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Alright, man. Yo, you made it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. If you made it all the way till the end, make sure that you subscribe, alright? Make sure you also like the video so that my YouTube channel stays on the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.